Thank y'all for tuning in to Primitive Organic Garden. Today is the 1st of July. This video here is primarily going to be about beans. This is one of my yard-long beans here. This is not quite a yard long. It's about half a yard long. But they call them yard-long beans. That's a common name. This is one of many beans that we'll talk about today. This is actually the same species as cowpea. A lot of us in the South know them as southern pea or Carolina crowder pea or black-eyed pea. This is the same species, but this cultivar just happens to produce very long pods. Anyway, we're going to call this video Pickin Beans with John. And while we're picking beans, we'll hopefully learn a couple of things about different species of beans, when to grow beans, how to grow beans, which beans to grow for your climate, what time of year to grow beans. There's a lot of different types of beans. This video will focus on common bean. Because we're going to focus on common bean, I'll just go ahead and give you a quick synopsis of other beans that we're not really going to focus on. In addition to common bean, you got things like soybean. Soybean is glycine max. It originated in Asia. It's an extremely high quality protein source. It grows in warm to hot weather, anything between about 60 and 95 Fahrenheit. It does okay in dry conditions. It's a great bean. We're not going to be talking about soybean today. Other beans we're not going to talk about: chickpea, garbanzo bean. That's a cool season bean for semi-tropical to tropical climates. Garbanzo bean or chickpea hails from the Middle East and Mediterranean regions. That is genus Fabaceae and species Retinum. Chickpea, garbanzo beans for hummus as well as falafel. They like temperatures between 60 and 80. I don't know much about growing those. It's a good protein source, not as high quality as a soybean, but still a decent quality protein. Other beans we're not going to talk about: fava beans. The genus is Vicia. The species is faba. A lot of people call them fava. Those beans are particularly interesting because it's the only bean I know of that's completely frost tolerant. I've had fava bean plants tolerate temperatures down to 24, 25. They don't even seem to care. It does not like hot weather. Fava beans are a decent quality protein source. It's also one of the earliest, if not the earliest, plant-based protein you can get. I haven't had a whole lot of luck with them. They hail from Mediterranean regions. They tend to like cool, dry weather. I've grown them here in the winter. I plant them, in November, December, and they grow through January, February, and start producing, nice fat pods in March and April. But it's a tough bean to grow here because they don't like hot weather at all. We're not going to talk much about those. Other beans, we talked about the yard-long beans that we showed at the beginning of the video. That's Vigna ungulata. That's the same species as cowpea, southern pea, crowder pea. That is the most heat-tolerant variety of bean, if you want to call that a bean. They'll tolerate temperatures up to 100 plus Fahrenheit. They're also extremely drought tolerant. Most of those are bush types, but the yard-long beans we looked at are a uncommon type of Vigna that actually are pole types. They grow very long vines and they produce very long beans. The beans we are going to focus on today are genus Phaseolus. Phaseolus is a genus that's native to Central and South America, also some cultivars native to North America. That includes all of your most common beans: the pinto beans, the black beans, great northerns, cranberries, white beans, kidney beans, anasazi beans, dragon tongue beans, snap beans, pink beans, navy beans. Pretty much all your standard beans are Phaseolus vulgaris. There are bush types. There are also types that are in between bush and vine. Those are called half runner. There's also pole types that are vining. Those beans, grow in temperatures between 60 and 100, depending on cultivar. That's mostly what we're harvesting today. It's going to be Phaseolus vulgaris. That's your common garden bean. You can harvest them immature as green beans, or you can wait until the pods are mature and all dry out and just harvest the shelled beans. If you were going to make something like refried beans or black bean soup, you would want to wait till the pods were completely formed and mature and all dried out and harvest them that way. But if you want green beans as a garden vegetable, you want to harvest the immature pods. Other species that are in the Phaseolus genus, we talked about vulgaris as the common bean that includes most all beans you've ever heard of. There's also Phaseolus Coccineus, which is your runner beans. Those can be perennial in tropical climates, but in most temperate climates they're grown as annuals. They can grow up to 25 feet tall. They generally like cooler weather, temperatures between 45 and 75. Runner beans are often grown as ornamentals. They produce lots of very showy flowers, very attractive to pollinators. Scarlet barnside runner bean is a common cultivar. We tend to grow those here in the spring and the fall since they like cooler weather. You also have Phaseolus lunatas, and if you're a redneck like me, you'll probably call that a lima bean. But Phaseolus lunatas, that includes all of your different bush and pole types of limas, butter beans, Christmas beans, speckled beans. You got baby limas. You also have mature, large limas. You can eat these as fresh baby green beans, or you can wait until the pods fill out and dry it out and boil them. But you never actually eat the pods. If you harvest them immature, you still only eat the beans. But yeah, Phaseolus lunatas, Lima beans. If you're a redneck like me, you'll probably call them Lima beans because you couldn't point Peru out on a map, much less its capital. But it's a good bean, cooler season bean, likes temperatures between about 50 and 75 Fahrenheit. So yeah, that's all our different types of beans. We talked about soybeans and garbanzo beans and fava beans and cowpeas and half runner beans and runner beans and common beans and Lima beans. And so now we're gonna get to harvesting. There's quite a lot of them to pick. We got a couple different varieties. They're growing on a fence here. We're probably gonna boil most of these in some water with a little bit of butter. There's a lot of gourds on the fence here that I'm noticing as I'm picking beans. Trying to pick the beans as fast as we can because there's a lot of mosquitoes out here, and we also have a lot of different spots in the garden that we need to go pick beans from. It's not just this one location that's got all the beans. We got 5 or 6 different locations around the garden where we need to start picking the beans. If you don't pick beans on a regular basis, the plants will not have as much of an incentive to continue producing pods. And if you allow beans to start fully maturing and ripening in the pods on the plants, then the plants really won't bother to produce much more beans. I wish I could just pause the video for a second and fast forward to 10 minutes from now when I have almost all the beans picked. I'm doing everything from my phone lately. I don't really have video editing software to splice clips together on my phone here. At least not at the moment. Yes, we talked about a lot of different types of beans today. I kind of wish that I could redo this video and actually be talking about all the different types of beans while I'm picking these beans. Because in hindsight, I realized that would have been a lot more efficient and it would have made this video a lot shorter. Instead of me rambling while not doing anything, I could have been rambling while picking beans. But I think I also underestimated the sheer amount of beans that are out here needing to be picked. Well, you also gotta remember that you can't get them all. As much as you want to try to get them all. Can't always get them all. Might just jump to the next location with the video and then come back and pick these bean pods over here later, because there's a lot of them. We don't want to be derelict and miss any because we're trying to be all social media like. The last thing a farmer needs is to be all worried about social media. Oh well, I got a good video of picking beans on YouTube, but I didn't finish cooking all the beans. And the squirrels got them, but I got a good video. Well, I think we mined that pretty well. Alright. We'll check the inside of this fence too when we get back. Some of these beans are just a little bit too small to harvest. We got a decent pile going. I know I'm trying to go faster. I'm hurrying. Going as fast as I can. I know I'm even missing some beans because I'm trying to go so damn fast. Alright, I think that's all the beans from the outside of the fence. Now we just gotta go into the backyard and get the rest of the beans. Look at that little tangerine tree. Look at all them maters. No, this video is about beans. We gotta get them. Planted all these bush beans. I need to stop planting bush beans because I live in a swamp and they all rot. And they get eaten by roly-polies. It's ridiculous. I don't even know why I bothered to plant these things. It's basically just compost and green mulch. I get maybe a handful of bean pods if the weather's dry. Most of the time, the damn roly-polies just eat them all. I think I'm the only person I know that has serious problems with roly-polies eating all my food. Luckily, I got some tomatillo plants growing in here, and roly-polies don't seem to want to mess with those. But the video's not about tomatillos. The video's about beans. I got some more beans around here. We got all them yardlong beans we was talking about. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all them. I guess I might eat some of them as green beans. We shall see. Yeah, I don't mess with that. Got more beans to pick. There's so many green beans. Man, this video is getting way too long for some damn beans. I don't need to be filming all these beans. I think y'all got the point. There's lots of different types of beans. I gave y'all a little bit of advice about when to grow which types of beans, and I don't gotta sit here till I film every damn bean, do I? I think I got enough beans for dinner. I know there's more beans to pick. There's always more beans to pick. Well, I think that's about it for today's bean picking with John video. We done picked a bunch of beans. I know there's probably some more beans out here somewhere. I think we got enough. Oh wait, there is more. There's all of these. How do we forget to pick all these beans? Damn, John. What you doing, bro? How'd you forget to pick all these beans? Because you planted them in the shade and you didn't think they were going to produce nothing? Man, you got a lot of beans to pick, though. You can't just let these beans sit on the plants like that. If you don't pick all these beans, the plants aren't going to produce no more beans. So this is Phaseolus vulgaris here. I'm picking it in the early immature green bean pod stage, and you know, these are in complete 100% shade, and it's interesting because these plants don't get really any direct sunlight the entire day. They're covered by the shed on one side and covered by the trailer on the other side, and I was just trying to reclaim some of the ground here because it's always so shady that it's always constantly so wet, and even grass doesn't grow here because it's so damn wet all the time. And I just thought to myself, well, if it's complete shade, what could I plant here? And I thought, you know, pole beans will climb and climb and climb and climb until they reach the sun, so you don't necessarily have to grow them in a sunny environment. You can grow them in the shade and they'll just grow till they find the sun. And I just make sure that I never ever water this area. And so even though it's a very shady area that tends to flood and puddle, if I never ever water it, the plants are just kind of a hydraulic pump, and they suck up any extra water that would normally pool and cause flooding. I really didn't care one way or the other if I got any beans out of this, but the fact that it's producing pods like crazy is kind of just icing on the cake. I really just wanted a bunch of you know, compost in the ground and some extra fertility, and I was just gonna, you know, use this as herb garden space or something, you know, grow some things that don't need sun. But the fact that it's just loaded up with bean pods, I'm I'm not gonna complain. So yeah, there's no reason that you can't grow pole beans in complete shade. Somebody tells you can't grow pole beans in complete shade, just smile and nod, but you can grow them in complete shade as long as you give them something to climb onto. They'll climb until they find sun. Man, I can't harvest all these beans. This is so much beans. It's just an obscene amount of beans. Pickin Beans. Why you got so much beans? Because I believe in the health of the soil. And when you plant cover crops, legumes, and other beneficial crops, whether or not you get a yield, you're always improving your soil. You got to take care of the soil because that's the #1 resource you have. Take care of the soil will take care of the plants will take care of you. But that's enough of that hippie shit. It's about time to get inside and take all these wonderful, fresh, healthy green beans and destroy them by cooking them in a stick and a half of butter so that I can negate any health benefits that would possibly be obtained from the green beans. Yeah, that's a lot of green beans. It's not a small bowl of green beans. Well, thank y'all for tuning in today, and I hope you learned something about beans. It's a great survival food. They'll tolerate all kinds of conditions. We talked about fava beans that grow in the dead of winter and tolerate frost, all the way to cowpeas, southern beans, cowpeas, beans that tolerate 100-degree temperatures. And we talked about all them kinds of beans in between, and all the different species of beans, and the bush types, and the pole types, and the half types, and all the different beans. So as long as you got some type of grain or other type of protein source that you can pair with beans, you'll be just fine. So grow lots of beans. It's a good thing to grow. It's a ridiculous video. Look at that farm dog, he likes beans. There's a lot of beans. I can't eat all those beans.